Aloha, beautiful beings. Welcome to one more episode of the Art of Being podcast. I am thrilled to chat with our next guest, Robert Scott, aka Scotty. He's a wellness advocate. He was born and raised in Hawaii. As we call, he is a local boy. His father is from New Jersey and his mother is from Maui. His mom and his dad went for a walk along the Ala Wai Canal. If you don't know where it is, Google it. Ala Wai Canal. Back then, there were no sidewalks. His mom slipped and fell into the canal, and his dad saved her. And he says he is the result of that. We will have a nice chat about his journey going through cancer and how, he became cancer-free today, how it may affected his mental faculty and his physical well-being, and how is feeling fantastic nowadays. Thank you for being here, Scotty.
Oh, it's so much my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to share this journey with you.
Yes, and he is my friend, my very good friend. I know Scotty probably for 5 years already.
Only a little bit more.
Yeah. And I love how we build this awesome friendship. So tell me how, and I remember hearing your story a long time ago. So tell me, how did you find out that you had cancer, first of all?
Well, it actually started a little over 10 years ago now, that I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. And I went through the chemo, radiation, and surgery, typical Western medicine,
Sure.
In order to treat it, right? I mean, I was terrified. And honestly, I didn't think it would work. And lo and behold, it did not. So what had happened was I went to the chemoradiation surgery only to have it metastasize to my liver in 18 months. So with the metastasis, it's an automatic stage 4 cancer. Now, with all that being said, I am still here and as a stage 4 cancer survivor. How did that happen? Well, I got to go back a little ways, and I want you to understand that the things that happened to me happened for a reason. I am not a churched person. In other words, I did not have church in my life to understand what God meant, to understand what miracles are. And the things that happened just guided me to where I am today. There was a divine
intervention.
That came into my life and pointed at me and said, "You're it." And I went, "Well, how does that happen?" So how does that happen? Prior to my being diagnosed with cancer, me and my wife were attending annual Christmas cantatas at a church that the music director was my wife's classmate. So just to have a little bit of music, which I love music, in our lives around Christmas, we'd go to that church and listen to the band play and listen to the Christmas carols and listen to the Christmas message. But not being a church person, it was difficult for me because in this particular church, it was very charismatic. I don't know if you understand what that means, but it means that these people, they love speaking in tongues. And was very, very scary for me to see that. It's like, what are they doing? So anyway, we went year after year, and then we ran into a little bit of trouble, my wife and I, as all couples do, and I did not know what to do. So I kind of went back to that particular church to talk to the music director. His name is David. And David said, "Come into my office and let's talk about it." And when I went into his office, he said, I think what you should do, Scotty, is uh, join with a pastor who is leading this church. He's going to plant a brand new church up in Pearl City. And it's a good start. And the thing is, he knows my wife too well. And so perhaps if I went with someone who doesn't know my wife at all, he can have a better view of what's going on in my life. So anyway, I just followed. I just said, that sounds like a great idea. So I followed this pastor up to Pearl City, and their first church service was in a park pavilion. It's like, it's open air. People would gather on Sundays, and they had this thing, praise and worship. And I said, I don't even know what that is. But they sang, and I loved it. And it was music, and that was great. And during praise and worship, some of these people would be speaking in tongues. And again, I go, oh, what is that? I said, never mind. It doesn't affect me. But I would close my eyes and I would listen to the music, and I would be amazed because in my mind's eye, I see colors and shapes and things going on about me. Well, they get a couple of months into this, and we actually got a school to accept us in their cafeteria. And it was an elementary school, and of course, we were kind of indoors at this point, and it was beautiful. And they would invite other people to come and join the praise and worship team just for particular Sundays. They would come from the mainland. They come from California. They come from Oregon. Come from Washington.
Oh, wow.
But this one girl came from California, and she had this most angelic voice. She was a teenager, and beautiful, beautiful music she was able to generate. She had such an instrument, such a gift in singing. And when I closed my eyes, I was just amazed at the things and shapes and colors in my mind as she sang. And when the music stopped, I opened my eyes. And there all around me, the people were looking at me and they're going, Scotty, you were speaking in tongues. I went, what? I said, I don't want to do that. No, you were. These people know me. They know I get freaked out about it. I said, I was not speaking in tongues. I said, well, when people speak in tongues, it sounds like the spirit language is just gibberish. You don't have any idea what they're saying. But Scotty, you were speaking it sounded like a language. It sounded like Latin. Latin. I went, and as soon as the word Latin was said, I remembered every single word that I had said. It was really, really amazing to me. They said, you better go ask Pastor what it means. So I went up to the pastor and I said, Pastor, what does this mean? He went, I don't know. I'm not a Catholic priest. He said, I think you better go find a Catholic priest and ask them. So instead of asking a Catholic priest, I went to a bookstore in Honolulu, and it was run by nuns. And I said, Sister, what does this mean? And I told her, I said, Domini non sum dignus, udintre subtectum meum, sed tantum de verbo, et sanabita anima mea. And she looked at me and she said, were you an altar boy? No, I was not an altar boy. She says, but that's what the altar boys say when they're coming down the middle of the church, swinging their incense burner, frankincense. And I said, what does it mean? And she said, well, it's from Matthew 8:8. And that's when the centurion came up to Jesus and says, can you heal my servant? And Jesus said, yes, of course, I'll come to your home and heal your servant. And the centurion said, no, just say the word and my servant will be healed. What I had said in Latin was just say the word and your servant will be healed. I had no idea what this was all about. And then I kept it with me for a while. I kept remembering the phrase, and I kept wondering what was going on. I am, or was in my lifetime, a bookkeeper, an accountant for most of my life. So working behind the scenes, just keeping the books and writing reports, and just not dealing with people in general, because I'm basically a shy person. I really am. Well, along comes this dreaded disease, right? And people found out about it and they were very sympathetic. You've got cancer. Scotty, why don't you go down to this healing ministry in Honolulu and have prayers said over you? I said, what do you mean? They said, well, it's healing prayer. I said, what have I got to lose? I'll just go. So I went. They anointed me with frankincense. I have no idea what this oil was that they're putting on me, but they put a lot of frankincense on me. And they said prayer over me, and they would put hands on my shoulders and said prayers of healing, and it was the strangest feeling for me because I felt like I was actually being cut. I felt like there was a knife that was being applied to my body.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I had the surgery, right? The surgery was to remove the tumor from my colon and rectum, where the tumor was right there.
Mm-hmm.
And when the doctors went in and to remove the remove the tumor, they did not find one.
Yeah.
It was not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it was very strange. They could see where it was. They just didn't see the tumor itself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they put me all back together and said, why don't you go on and live your life, basically. And I said, okay. I did not know what all of that meant, right?
Uh-huh.
So I had a second bout of cancer come along. It was a metastasis of the original cancer. It went to my liver, a very serious place for it to go. And it was automatically a stage 4 cancer.
Uh-huh.
It gave me 18 months to live from that.
Oh, wow. So from this second cancer is when you did chemo?
I did not.
You did chemo for the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did
gotcha.
chemo, radiation, and surgery for the first one.
Okay.
But for the second one, when we diagnosed it, I went, oh man, I remember what the chemo was like. I don't want to go through this again. So I told them no chemo.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no more radiation. It made me feel too ill.
Mm-hmm.
But you can have the surgery. You can take it off my liver if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what had happened was they took it off my liver. And prior to that surgery, my cancer markers were reading at 7 or 7.5, around there. When they took it off my liver, my cancer markers went down to 5, which is okay. It's sort of like normal. Okay. But I started adding an essential oil in my life, and it was meant to give me calm, honestly. The oil that I had used was the same oil that they anointed me with in that healing ministry. Mm-hmm. They had anointed me with frankincense.
So your goal was like, let me calm my mind, because there's a lot of stress associated with going through cancer, right? So the mental faculty is like, whoa, so let's calm the mind. And that's your first idea of going over this alternative treatment or whatever you call, like support, right? Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So you went through like to calm your mind, to lower the stress, and then.
So the frankincense was, like you said, was mainly to calm me down. And I had learned later that, essential oils really don't heal. They're not about healing. But what they are about is giving your body what it needs in order for your body to heal.
To heal, yeah.
Yeah, so I went, whoa, that's kind of an interesting revelation for me. And as it turns out, my cancer markers, after using frankincense, they dropped further. And they dropped down to 0.5 or just under 0.5, or sometimes no reading at all. So it didn't mean that the frankincense was healing me. It did mean that the frankincense was allowing my body to heal, to build up my immune system, perhaps, or perhaps, give the right combination of balances within my body so my body can take over the healing process. Also, and this is very important, to develop an attitude of gratitude
Tell me
because
about that. Tell me
it's
about that.
important that your mind your mind be in the right place. When your mind is in the right place, you are able to accomplish so much more than if you are in a negative space. That attitude of gratitude has served me well for quite a while now. And you have to you have to imagine I went from a place where I was given 18 months to live on the original diagnosis of cancer, only to have it metastasize to my liver and giving me another 18 months, the doctors keep saying, and only to have it completely give away to a life that I've been leading for the last 9 years. You know, it's gone as far as I'm concerned. It's not coming back. And I am so grateful. I give thanks to the Lord. I give thanks to the people around me. I give thanks to people like Patty that keep me on the path of being positive. That she tells me every once in a while to make sure I have a journal of gratitude.
Yes.
And that's so important. You write down every day. What does it take? What is it about today? No matter how rotten the day is, what is it about today that makes you feel grateful? And you will find something, because if you will only look, you will find things that make a difference in your life. I'll give you for instance, what kind of day would make me feel rotten, aside from the diagnosis of a disease? A rotten day for me would be like everything I did today did not work. All the appointments I made, I got stood up. All of the studying I did was for nothing because I couldn't think about what I just read. I was so ticked off about all the appointments that stood me up. What is great about today? Well, what is great about today is you look into yourself, take a deep breath, and say, today is only today. Tomorrow is a different story. And what am I grateful for? I'm grateful that tomorrow is not going to be like today. I can find something. You can find something every day about something to be grateful for. And then every once in a while, people come popping into your life. Patty Hoyt comes into your life, and she makes you feel wonderful about who you are. Patty and I, like she said, we've known each other for 5 years. And the thing about Patty is that she has always kept a positive attitude, no matter what's been going on in her life. And I've known all of the negative things that have been happening to her. Oh my goodness. And yet she still has a smile. And yet, even with all of that going on, she will let it go in order to make you feel better.
Oh,
that is such a gift to me. It's such a gift from heaven. It is such a gift from God to know Patty, because she kind of keeps me on the straight and narrow. And I really, really appreciate that. That goes into my gratitude journal for today. So I am really amazed by all of the things that have happened in my life. Now, what about that wonderful saying? Just say the word and the servant will be healed. I went from a place where I was shy. I did not want to talk to anybody. And today, because people know that what I've gone through, and they want to know what I know, can I help them? I've gone from a place where I didn't want to talk to anybody, where I find people calling me at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning from across this amazing planet who want to know what I know, and I have to talk to them. Well, I don't have to, but I want to talk to them.
There you go.
And the thing is, with that, I know that perhaps if they can get something from me, and I won't bully them, I'll just point out possibility thinking for them, that perhaps they can extend their lives. And one of the wonderful things about what I do is that I've seen even a mother who was in complete dementia, and she had gangrene in her
Mm.
extremities, and that she was just going downhill really fast. But the gangrene was advancing so much so that, you know, that family had asked if there was possibility of slowing it down. I said, yeah, through prayer and maybe a little bit of massage, you know, with an essential oil to improve circulation a little bit. It might keep her going for a while. And that family was so grateful, Patty. You know, they were grateful because she wasn't going to pass right away. In fact,
Mm.
they had a hospice nurse there taking care of her. She outlived the hospice nurse care. It's so much so that the hospice nurse said, this is amazing. Anyway, she outlived the care that was allowed for her. But what it did for the family is that all of them got to come in and say their goodbye to their mom.
Mm.
They had a chance to say goodbye. She didn't pass right away. They got to spend some quality time with mother. And when she finally did pass, it wasn't as painful. They knew it was coming, but they all got to say they loved her and how much they cared for her. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Do you know how much that means to a family?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah.
So
I,
that is probably, one of the things I love most about what I
yeah, I
do.
think what I've seen, what I'm hearing you saying, like you saw hope, you felt hope while you were going through your own battle, right, with cancer. And with that, you spread that message of hope to other people, because I I see a lot of people when they are in really bad disease, they lose hope. Like
Yeah,
before they even it really transition to the other side, they lose hope when they still have life here, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
feel like what you did, like you generated this hope feeling inside of you so strongly, and that you are able to really come out of this, because it's not easy to go through all of those chemos. And it's easy to have hope when you are healthy and good, and that's easy to have hope, right, for life, for everything. One is challenging is when you be able to create that hope and that gratitude inside of yourself when you are in the midst of going through a very big struggle. And I commend you to do that, because that's not easy, but
Mhm.
it's very necessary. That's when the practice come in my line of work. That's when the practice come, right? We can hear and learn all the theories, how to do this or that. But when we are ready to practice and we put in place some of those tools that you just talk about, it's like really having this gratitude attitude, right, of gratitude. And that you find even the midst of the most painful place, we can still find something to be grateful for. We
Mhm.
still find something to be grateful for. And that's what I love the message. And I think that's there's a message over here, and how you had a pivotal moment in your life where you went from being very shy and behind the scenes and not talking to anybody, which I could not even imagine that, to now being this person who's always talking to people. You are a people person. You talk to people and you bring this message of hope and gratitude. And just by doing that, your mental state of mind changes. And we know a lot of the immune system, the stress can really drain and change your immune system, right? By taking care of your mental faculty is so important to our overall health. And you use your own will, your own internal motivation to feel grateful and generate that hope to yourself, and as well as alternative help, like with essential oils. So you did from everywhere. You try everything, and that's having hope. A lot of people that I've seen, they lose hope and they don't even want to try anything anymore, right? Because they are tired of trying. But if they generate a little hope inside of them and allow their mind to try different things, then wait for miracles. Having that mind of wait for miracles. Yes, the miracle is coming, right? Instead of losing hope and then like, there's no way. The doctor told me this, and that's what it's going to be. Like you believed something that somebody told you, right? Be open to miracles to happen. And I love that.
That is kind of what my story is. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, 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 yes. And you had a lot of help, because a lot of people don't have a support system, right? And I what I'm seeing is that you had a good support system. So what is like one tip that you would give to someone who is right now still going through their own healing?
The tip is don't be afraid to reach out.
Mhm.
You know, if you stay where you are and you don't make the attempt to move out of that place, you will stay where you are. So you really have to have just a little bit of courage to reach out and say, could you please help me? Can you please share what you know so that I can understand what I must do? And if you do that, you know, because I kind of went through that too. I didn't know enough about church. I didn't know enough about God. I certainly didn't know anything about speaking in tongues. But yet all of these things happen. And as you reach out to the people who might know, the people who can bring some sense to it all, then you will understand perhaps the path that you are on. Now, the path that I am on is actually to go on and help as many people as I can, to bring them hope, as you said, to bring new life, to bring joy to the life that they have. I hope that is a tip that you can use. Don't be afraid to reach out. In fact, please reach out.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, Scotty. So if we're coming to the end, so if people wanted to connect with you, what is the best way to reach out to you?
You can always send me an email. It's Aloha Scotty. It's all one word, ALOHA SCOTTY @gmail.com. That'll be the best way. And please note in your email where you heard me from, and that would be Patty, and her podcast, The Art of Being, because that will point me to what it is you need to know. I do get requests, as I said, from all over the world at all different times. And unless I can point to something and where it came from, I won't know how to answer you. And perhaps I may not answer you. So please just use my email and point to Patty as being the person who referred you. That would help me out.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, Scotty, thank you so much for being here with me today. I truly appreciate you sharing your story. I believe the more we share, the more we heal, and sharing is caring. So thank you.
You're very, very welcome, Patty. It's been my pleasure.
And
Aloha.
thank you, beautiful listeners of being out there. If you resonated with me and wanted to have a conversation, head over my website, www.pattyhoyt.com. It's PATIHOY.com. Or follow me on Instagram at Coach-Pati Hoyt. Until we meet again, remember, be the light and feel empowered. Aloha.